Hey, friends, with the Self Love Strong podcast. Today, we have an incredible, insightful guest, Kevin Fink, a certified financial planner, personal development coach, personal growth coach with a deep focus on overcoming limiting beliefs around money. Kevin's journey has been one of transformation, navigating financial setbacks and integrating personal development into financial coaching. Through his work, he helps break through financial roadblocks, heal emotional wounds, and create sustainable wealth in a purpose-driven life. Kevin, so much and thankful for you being here.
Thank you for having me, Sam. I'm excited to be here, brother.
Oh, yes, man. Kevin, your journey has just been something that's really inspirational to me when I heard it. You're kind of profound from growing and with significant family challenges to just becoming a certified financial planner. What initially sparked your interest when it came to personal finance?
So my background is actually, my degree is actually in computer science of all things. I was working on my computer science degree at Purdue University. I know you live in Austin. I was in Austin between my sophomore and junior year in college. I had an internship with Motorola there. And I was really wanting to get from the Midwest where I grew up. I wanted to get to Austin. And when I graduated, nobody was really hiring in the early 90s in Austin. So I ended up in Houston working for a major oil company as a programmer. And man, I got burned out so quick. It was awful. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And I was like, there's got to be something better than this. And I was working on my MBA at the University of Houston and got a call from a recruiter at a life insurance company. And he asked me if I, wanted to come check out their insurance company. And I said, nah, I don't think so. And he said, why not? And I said, because the only thing I can think of harder to sell than life insurance is maybe used cars. And bottom line, he convinced me to jump in with both feet. So I got into the insurance business, really just more so because I hated what I was doing and I was willing to do anything so I didn't have to do that anymore. And, I knew because my background was not in finance that getting the certified financial planning designation was important to me. It was going to give me the education that I needed. And I got into it so much that I actually began teaching in and ultimately running a CFP program here in Houston for a number of years. And so that's just kind of what got me into it. I felt like people were going to need help planning their futures financially. I was interested in investments. Once I learned the power of life insurance and how it can be used, that became a motivator for me. And I just started my 29th year in the business doing that stuff. So that's how I got in the personal finance space.
Man, that is a beautiful story, man. And just wonder of deciding that, I love how you set that limit. Like, I know what I don't want to do, but I do know I will help people. It's kind of what I realize. People are going to need this, and it can get you probably out of some crazy situations as well of just, finances are a biggest struggle most people have, whether it's the knowledge of knowing what to do with it or just with it.
Yeah.
Is that what you say?
Yeah. And, like I said, I've been doing this for 29 years, 25 of those. So I passed the CFP exam. I passed in March of 2000. So next month will be my 25th anniversary of becoming a certified financial planner. And what I've experienced, Sam, is that most of the things that we've been taught to do with our money, frankly, are wrong. That we were taught ultimately by a bank, a financial institution, or the government to do it that way. And as a result, it benefits them more than it benefits us. And so a lot of the strategies and things that I help people understand is how to stay in control of their money. And it is, that life's not just about money, but I think it was Will Rogers that said, I've been rich and I've been poor, and all things being equal, rich is better. So we got to have money to play this game and to get through this thing called life. And so again, I've been helping over the last almost 30 years. I've helped over 1,500 individuals and families achieve financial wealth and success. And what I have really discovered is that there's an underlying belief system that everyone has that actually has a bigger impact on their money decisions and whether or not they will be wealthy. And you can define wealth however you want to define it. But for someone to truly achieve financial independence and wealth, frankly, unless they deal with their underlying belief system and baggage, limiting, and emotional baggage that they have around money, it doesn't matter how much money they have, it never seems like quite enough. So in my personal growth story, I'll tell you that story real quick. I was in a client's office here in Houston back in 2007, I think it was. And he was on the phone, and I was looking around his office, and up on the wall, he had this shadow box. And inside the shadow box were some certificates and a broken piece of wood with some words on it. And laying down at the bottom of the shadow box was this little 4-inch rubber cockroach laying on its back. And of all the things in the shadow box, I'm like, all right, Randy, what's with the cockroach? And he said, I'm so glad you asked. I've been waiting to tell you about this class that I took, and the cockroach is there. It's an anchor to remind me about some things. And he said, this personal finance class personal growth class that I took, it absolutely changed my life. And I think you should do it. And I said, well, you know what, man, if you're that passionate about it, I'll do it. And I signed up for it the next day. And about a month later, I took the class, and it changed my life. And like most things in life, what I have found for myself is if I want to internalize something, if I want to really get to know something well, the best way for me to do that is to offer to teach it to someone else. Because if I'm going to put myself out there as the knowledgeable instructor, I better know what the heck I'm talking about, right? And so at the end of that class, I was asked by one of the owners of the company if I'd be interested in being a trainer for them. And I jumped at the idea. So I've been doing personal growth work like at this level really since about 2008. So I was a student in 2007, 2008, and I started my journey as a practitioner and as an advisor and as a coach around 2010. So I've been doing that part for about 15 years. And the beautiful thing that I've discovered is this relationship of how people, the belief system that we have around money actually was developed along the same time that our other belief system was generated, which was when we were little kids. By the time we are 7 years old, over 45% of our lifetime belief system is firmly in place. And by the time we get to age 18, 99% of a person's belief system is locked in. And most people, because you've been on a personal growth journey, personal growth, quite frankly, is the hardest kind of growth that there is, because requires that we look in the mirror and be honest with ourselves about what's working and what's not, and what are the areas that I can improve in. Very, very few people as a percentage of the population are willing to ever take the time to look that deeply in the mirror. It's much easier to just stay in your comfort zone and go through life on a wash, rinse, repeat cycle than it is to really dig in and say, man, what is it that's going to get me to my next level? And so in doing this work, and I've become a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. And what NLP has taught me is that our beliefs are run in our unconscious mind. We don't even recognize why we're doing some of the things that we're doing. And it really matters as it relates to money. Wow. So the Journal of Economic Psychology published a study that showed that children who have an experience with money, an emotional experience, let's say maybe you saw your mom crying about some overdue bills, or maybe your dad was screaming at your mom because she spent too much money, whatever it is, that experience put an imprint on your life and gets buried in your unconscious and actually affects the way you make decisions later on in life, and you don't even realize that that's where it's coming from. And so what I found, and one of my stories, and I'm happy to share all of my stories, one of the things that I've learned is in my role as a transformational trainer is that vulnerability is actually a strength. It requires a lot more courage to let our walls down and be vulnerable with each other and tell the truth and let people see who we really are. It requires a lot more courage to do that than it does to put the wall up and hide behind it. So I'll answer any question. I'll tell you the truth. At least I'll tell you my truth. But I didn't recognize. So like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, right? And over the last several years, my wife and I have actually blown through two, not one, but two life-changing amounts of money from inheritances from her mom and my mom. And I mean, it's approaching $500,000. So I'm not talking about, 10,000, but I'm talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy I've been teaching people this stuff for years, and I blew through it myself. I know better. I'm the expert and I know better, and I still blew through it. And so it required me to take a step back and say, dude, what the hell are you doing? What is going on? You know better. Why did you continue to make these decisions? And in doing the work with my coach, because I believe that everybody needs a coach. I don't care where you're at in life. Everybody needs a coach. Tony Robbins has a coach. Okay. So if Tony Robbins needs a coach, I probably need a coach too. So what I learned with my coach is that because of some experiences I had when I was a little kid, I had a belief system that said I was not worthy of wealth. So my behavior was, so my brain, so my unconscious stored that you're not worthy of having wealth. And so anytime wealth showed up, I found a way to get rid of it. And it wasn't until somebody helped me understand where that was coming from and how to disconnect the emotional triggers from the event that happened. I can tell you right now that my first memory of when I began to believe that I was unworthy, I was 10 years old. I'm 55 now, so this has been a long time ago. I was 10 years old and I went shopping with my mom for school. This would have been in 1979, okay? And I said, and so back then, what the cool kids were wearing, they were wearing Nikes, because Nikes had just kind of come out, right? And actually, this might have been a little later. I might have been 12, because I think Nikes didn't come out till 1981, if I'm not mistaken. So it could have been a little bit later. I could have been 12. I wanted a pair of Nikes, and I wanted a couple of Izod shirts, the one with the alligator on it. And I knew that we could afford it, right? My parents had their own business, and I would say we were probably upper middle class. We weren't rich, but we were solid middle class, maybe tending towards upper middle class. I knew we could afford it. And I told my mom, all I want is a pair of Nikes and a couple of Izod shirts. And here's what she said to me, Sam. She said, well, you're not getting it because Kmart closed and Payless shoes are good enough for you. So you can't have the alligator, you can have the little whale, or you can have, whatever Kmart's thing was, and you can have some K-Swiss shoes. But, and she had a reason for it. She wasn't being shitty, right? She wasn't saying you're not worthy. She had a reason. She said, look, your dad has a lot of medical issues, and we don't have insurance because we're self-employed. So someday we're going to need a lot of money to take care of his health, and therefore we don't spend money on name brand things. It's good enough that we go a step down, whatever that meant, right? But that's not what I heard. What I heard was you're not worthy. And then there was another time after I got in the insurance and financial services business, I went to my dad and I said, hey, Dad, you've got a portfolio that's being managed by somebody who's, a family friend, but I'm learning about this stuff. I would love to manage your portfolio for you. I care about you. I love you. And I want to see you have financial success. And the words he said to me, Sam, were, you're not capable of handling my money. And those emotional experiences told me you're not worthy. And so unconsciously, the behaviors I've taken with money were formed from those two early in life experiences, and I didn't even know it. So, and it's true for everybody listening to this podcast. We all have experiences like that. If you go back and think about what is your first memory of money being an issue in your life, if you go back to that moment and you think about, okay, what's the earliest I can remember, whatever that transaction or whatever that event was, it imprinted on you a belief about money and how it works, and whether you were worthy of it or not. Some people have believe money's the root of all evil. They're taught that, and so then their behavior reflects that in the future. It's incredible. So the first step of getting through this stuff is to understand our behaviors were formed and shaped as a result of people sharing information with us that was their truth at the time, wherever they got that information, whatever their life experiences were, or who taught them that that's how, what money meant. They were just passing that information along to us, and we bought it as if it was the truth. The reality is it was just their truth. And if it's not serving you to continue to own that belief system, it's okay to change it. But but as a Western society, what we've never been taught is things like how do I psychologically disconnect the emotion of the event from what actually happened? Because again, emotions, our unconscious mind is a very simple organism. Okay, it doesn't think so two parts of our brain. We got a logical brain, and our conscious mind, and we got an unconscious mind. Conscious mind, we only spend about 5% of our time in our conscious mind. 95% of the time, our unconscious mind is doing everything else for us. It's pumping the blood through our body. It's filling our lungs with air, and it's exhaling for us, right? All those things, we don't have to consciously think about that. Our body just does that for us. But we've got these beliefs in there, and so emotions are part of, those are stored in the unconscious mind. So whenever we think about an event that happened in the past, if it was really an emotional event, you can actually recreate that emotion right now just by thinking about that past event, positive or negative, right? So if you think about something, you think about one of the worst experiences you ever had. If you just go back and think about that, you can start feeling those same emotions right now as if it is still happening. And it isn't happening, but you still feel it. So it's those. Conversely, you could do the same thing on a positive. You think about the most joyful day of your life, the biggest win you ever had, and you go back and you think about that.
Yeah.
And I see the smile on your face, man. I don't think that smile ever leaves your face, by the way. But it just gets bigger, right? but you bring that positive, joyful moment into the now, and you experience that same emotion the same way. So those negative emotions, I call it, our emotional baggage. It's limiting us because every time we think about that event, it brings that emotion up, and we don't know how to disconnect the two things. Well, the good news is there's something called neuroplasticity, which is the rewiring of the brain. They have proven scientifically that we can create new neural pathways in our brain and create new belief systems, just like we have these old beliefs. But the first step is to figure out, how do I disconnect the emotion from the event that initially happened so I can write a new story? One of the ways you do that is through forgiveness. So one of my big things that I do with my clients is I help them learn how to forgive themselves and others, and then how to take the hurt and the pain from whatever it was and replace that with love and joy. And once you know how to do that, and you kind of just turn the page, this doesn't suggest that whatever awful thing happened didn't happen. Of course it happened. You want to remember it and you want to learn from it, but you don't want to keep recreating the same negative emotions, because as long as you continue to recreate those negative emotions, your future becomes predictable. It's very predictable what's going to happen. So when you learn truly how to
Wow.
disconnect that negative emotion, you could turn the page and write a new story. And now you can start building those new neural pathways to create the life that you absolutely love. And that's what I'm about, man. So, that was a very long answer to a short question. I've dominated
Great.
conversation so far, but I'm passionate about this stuff because what I truly know and believe is that when we understand what's going on consciously, and then we have a methodology to truly disconnect and be the person that we want to be moving forward, it creates incredible new possibilities for everyone. And so that's what excites me. I'm gonna take a breath and a drink of coffee, and I'll let you get a word in.
Man, I love it. You're good, man. And I love to see that. And I think that's why I was so excited about this conversation, because your passion for what you do, and it through the screen. Like, I'm like, man, it just excites me because you said something so powerful there. I think it's funny how the money mindset is starting when you're not even making money as a child, right? When I'm thinking about money, you're thinking about when you think about a money mindset, the first time you think about, I'm thinking about it, but I wasn't thinking about how those neural pathways are made at a younger age and not by you, right? It's funny when you said that motion where you're like, trigger in my head was like, we always do this school shopping, and it was like, we worked really hard for this money, so what you, or you have to work really hard to make money. And I was like, wow, that's those neural in me. Like, I'm like, I gotta work really hard, or it's not gonna be, or you're not worthy of it. And I think that's such a powerful, because we don't realize the emotional side of money. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because it's so simple to be like, I just didn't work hard enough for it, or money just money, like you said, the money mindset, the money is the root of all evil, or I have to work really hard to build wealth, or many people are feeling I'm not worthy of wealth.
That's right.
And not realizing something that like, I love how you said it's those things that we something bad, but we're trying to avoid it, but we technically go into that same cycle because we haven't really grown from it. It seems like that's kind of what you're talking about, is like, you went through that experience, you're trying to avoid the experience, but it just keeps revolving. You always find yourself not having enough, not believing you're worth enough, or not being able to make enough. But it's just really like you never really dealt with it. You just kind of marinated it, hoping it'll go away. And I'm like, wow.
That's exactly right, because what we focus on is what expands. So our brain. So one of the most interesting things that I've learned in this whole journey is, how the brain works. It's fascinating, right? And at any given moment in time, there are like 2 million bits of information that are bombarding our senses at any given moment. And in our conscious mind, we can only hold about 126 of those 2 million bits of information. So the gatekeeper in our mind is there to say, here's what I'm going to pick out and identify and let in. And I gotta distort and generalize and delete everything else that's not important right now, right? Like, I know there's a ceiling fan twirling over my head. I know my dog's over there in the corner. I can hear the air conditioner in the background, but none of that's important right now. So it all just becomes kind of blurry, right? So what we focus on expands. So we tell our consciously, we tell our unconscious mind, here's what's important to me. So go find more of that. So when we say things like, man, I'm not worthy, or I got to work really hard to make money, our unconscious mind goes, got it. Let's work real hard. Let's not be worthy. Let's find ways to not do those things. And I like to think, so my coach actually explained it to me this way, and I thought this was brilliant. In our unconscious mind, it stores our memory. So I want you to think of like a hallway that has a bunch of doors on both sides of the hallway. On one side, they're like closets, okay? So on one side, the closets are all negative emotions. So every time you have an experience that's a negative emotion, every time you experience grief, the unconscious mind goes, oh, I've seen that before. That's grief. Let's put that in the grief closet. Oh, sadness. I know sadness. Let's put that in the sadness closet. Oh, anger. I know that one. Let's put that in the anger closet, right? And on the other side of the hallway, you've got your positive emotions, joy, happiness, gratitude, right? Oh man, I remember that time I was so grateful. Oh yeah, that's gratitude. Let's put that in the gratitude closet. And now our mind has all these memories that are attached to these emotions. And anytime something shows up in our life that's anywhere close to one of those, our unconscious mind has to categorize it and go, oh yeah, I recognize that one. That's another sadness. Let's put that in the sadness closet. So over time, all this negative emotion builds up and we don't know how to clean out the closet. So when you have a process like forgiveness, or forgiveness is just one, and it's I bring it up because it's an easy one to do once you understand the process. It's something that you literally can do in moments, and it has a profound effect. There are other things, some of those belief systems are like, like weeds in your yard, right? You see pop up above the yard, the dandelion, you're like, oh, I gotta cut that thing off. The problem is the weed goes down pretty far, and unless you dig the weed out, it's just going to come up again. So some of those beliefs are buried really deep, and so maybe forgiveness isn't the best tool to dig those out. There are other tools, but if you go through a process where basically you just clean out all the negative closets, you just open them all up and dump them in the hallway, and you look at them and you understand them and you figure out, how do we bring the leaf blower in here and just blow all that stuff out? That's what creates that space where now you can say, okay, I'm not interested in that stuff anymore. Now I'm not a Pollyanna. I'm a really positive guy, but look, I have down times, and you know what? And I don't know if people curse on your podcast or not, and if I do, please forgive me. But shit happens in life, and we all have shit in our lives that we're not happy about, and it's going to keep happening. But how we react to it and what we do with it moving forward is what matters, right? So even after I clear out the closets, there's going to be things that happen where unconscious mind is going to go, hey, I remember what sadness. Let's start putting that back in the sadness closet again, right? But it really creates a space of new possibilities when you are willing to be vulnerable and to let your guard down and say, look, man, I need some help. I got some stuff here that's holding me back. And it's not that you're a bad person, and it's not that whatever happened to you didn't happen. I mean, I've had some clients who've had some really, really awful things happen to them in their life, and that should never be forgotten. The problem is they are still emotionally connected to those things. And so every time they think about it, it brings that emotion back up, and it stops them from being who they ultimately could truly be. And it's not just around our money. It's around our relationships. It's around our belief about our health. It's about our careers. It's about every area of life. We've got these beliefs. And once again, they all started by the time we were 45% of them were in place by the time we were 7 years old. So how do we, that's where transformation work comes in, right? How do what area of life am I struggling, or what area of life am I really looking to start something different? And this is a great time of year to have this conversation. I mean, it's, we're just past New Year's, right? What's everybody do on December 31st? What they set? New Year's resolutions, right? I'm gonna do this.
New Year's goals.
Different. Yeah, and by about right about now, by about the 4th or 5th week of the year, the majority of those people are right back to doing the same old stuff that they did before they made the resolution. And here's the reason. Whatever it was they identified they wanted to change, they had some beliefs and some stories about, and they've got some emotions connected to those things. And because they didn't disconnect the emotion first, setting a new outcome, it's almost never going to happen. I like to talk in terms of analogies and pictures. So imagine your life, Sam. Everything that you've experienced in your life, it's like a painting, right? So every time you've experienced something, it's a stroke, it's a brush stroke on the painting or the portrait that is your life. Some of those things have been good. Some of those things have not been so good, right? Well, if I want to paint something new, I want to create a new me. What would be easier? Starting with a blank canvas or painting over the painting that's already there? Which one's easier?
Starting with the blank, or probably starting with what you already got. I mean, that's what I think about. Yeah.
Well, but yeah. So, but think about it. How much are you going to have to paint over that painting that's already there? Those brush strokes, because see, if I put a new brush stroke over the top of something that's there, that old painting is going to, at some point, is going to bleed through, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to just say, hey, let me just start with a blank canvas, and now I can create whatever I want. That's literally what happens when you clean out those negative closets and you learn how to turn the page. So that's why if you want to create true lasting change in life, there's just 4 things you have to do, 4 simple steps. The first one is the most important, and it's the one that nobody knows about. It's this one we're talking about today. That is releasing emotional baggage. You've got to turn the page. You've got to disconnect the emotions from what happened so that they don't bleed through, because as long as you still have them, they're going to bleed through and they're going to affect the future picture. Once you turn the page and now you've got a blank canvas, now you can set outcomes. Now you can say, this is who I'm going to be moving forward. I'm going to do this with my health. I'm going to do this with my relationships. I'm going to do this with money. I'm going to do this with my career, right? Now I've got a blueprint that's not all buggered up by all the old noise and all the old beliefs that tell me I can't do that. So that's step 2. Step 1, let go of the emotional baggage. Step 2, set the outcomes. Now step 3 is you got to do the work, right? I mean, most of the people that listen to your podcast have probably heard of The Secret or watched the movie or read the book, right? The Law of Attraction. And where they get it wrong is they go, oh, okay, so all I got to do is focus on what I want, and that's what's going to create it. Not exactly. You still got to do some stuff. You can't just, picture I'm gonna win the Powerball, the $100 million Powerball tonight, and then I just sit on my couch. I don't even go buy a ticket. I'm gonna win the Powerball, right? I'm gonna track that. No, you got to go buy a ticket. You got to do something, right? Same thing's true. You got to take action. That's step 3. You got to take actions that move you in the direction of what it is that you say you want. And then step 4, the last step is, as circumstances happen, things are going to happen. As you are a person of action, consequences will result. And some of those consequences will create circumstances that you could not anticipate. So when those circumstances pop up, now what you have to do is you have to stay focused on what you said it was that you wanted on your blueprint, and you might have to adjust in order to keep moving forward. That's the process. It's very, very simple in concept, but people don't know how to actually do the work. And that's where I come in and help people really understand what is the root of the problem. Not just what's the dandelion up, above the surface, but where is that belief coming from, and how do we dig that sucker out and eradicate it? Use the learning, maintain the learnings always, but not be triggered by them anymore, so that you can create the life you absolutely love. That is something worth sharing and worth doing, and that's what I do to help my clients.
Man, beautiful, Kevin. Wow. I mean, it's so crazy because, like you said, it's a perfect time. I even find myself, you wonder how we fall into the same every year. I set this goal and I wonder why I fall back into the same old habits. But I really love how you're talking about it's just like you naturally program that subconscious mind that, hey, these choices you've been making, like you said, or those beliefs you've had since a child, which is so crazy. It starts at 7. And I think about how in between there and how many other people's baggage, like you were talking about, are you adding to your plate either daily, weekly, or monthly, and the habits that are no longer serving you? I love the power that you said there is, hey, I can get rid of them. And I think of many times we think of, hey, I've had this challenge in my life. I had so many setbacks. I got to hold on to these things for the rest of my life. But I love the fact that you talk about you can deal with these things. You can work with the fresh, as you said. Because I think of many times we let our canvas by who we are. And I love how you said that you can clean that slate and really take ownership and action and change that. I think that's so powerful. When I heard that, I'm like, well, that's so encouraging and exciting to hear. And that you help people do that exact same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Another way to think of it, Sam, is think of your brain like a hiking trail. And the behaviors that you have done over and over and over, you've walked that path 1,000 times. You can look down, you can see the path from point A to point B, right? Because you've done it so many times, and it's natural to just gravitate to that path. So when you say, why do people set these new goals? So it's like, okay, this is the path I've been walking and I can see it and I know where it leads. The one I want is over here, but right now when I look down there, it looks scary. It looks overgrown. It looks right. I'm gonna have to take a machete and whack out some trees and carve this path. I'm gonna have to walk it 1,000 times. And you know what? It's just easier just to go walk the other path that I already know. And it's comfort zones, because the reality is nothing new is available in our comfort zone. No new growth is available. We already know everything that's in our comfort zone. The only place that new possibilities exist is outside the comfort zone. And it requires courage to get out of the comfort zone, because now we're doing stuff we don't automatically know how to do. And sometimes we fail. So what? How many times did Edison fail before he made the light bulb? 10,000 times, right? He found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. But failure is only failure when you fail to learn from it. Losers stay down. Winners fail and get back up, change their approach, and to keep going forward towards what it is that they want. And if you really want to be successful, learn to fail faster. Fail faster. Because what failing faster means is that I've got an idea and boom, I implement it. Boom, failed. Okay, well, do I just go back to the lab and study it and make all these change? No, you had an idea. What the one you used didn't work. So change something, just change one thing and go for it again. And if it fails again, what you know is that's not the way to do it. Find another way and go for it again. And the faster you do it, the faster you will actually find something that works, because when you get caught in the whole analysis paralysis thing, while you're back there figuring out and analyzing it, somebody else is going to take what you did and they're going to implement it, and you're still thinking about it. So failure is actually positive, right? But we got to have courage to get out of it.
That man, yeah, I love that.
And most people, wow, they got beliefs about failure. I had beliefs about failure. I mean, dude, you do not fail. That's what I was told. We don't fail. Okay, well, maybe I don't take enough risks then, because if I take that risk, I might fail. And what is that keeping me from doing?
Growing and learning. Wow, man.
It's amazing. It's an amazing journey. Life, as far as we know, this is not a dress rehearsal, Sam. We are not practicing for next time. And even if you believe in things like reincarnation, you are not coming back as you now. You're going to come back as a tree frog or a blade of grass or, a mosquito or something. So, hey, we might as well have some fun while we're doing this. We might as well play full out and go for the things we want in life, and have more love and kindness. My whole purpose in life is love. My number one value is love, and I am looking to help spread more love and kindness in our world, because that's what we need. We got plenty of negative people and nastiness and yuck going on. And what we need, that, the Beatles had it right 60 years ago. All we need is love. And I know that might sound woo-woo to some people, but it's the absolute truth. And when you vibrate, when you energetically vibrate at the vibration of love, and you can literally change the world around you just with your love. And that's what I'm about. So to the degree that I can help anybody do that, I'm your Huckleberry, man. Seek me out, because I will show you my truth, and I will help you get what you want in life.
Yes, and that is beautiful. I can agree with you in that. Love is the simple thing, and that's what we definitely need more of, man. And I love that's what message and the work that you're doing. But the most important thing, I want to let people know, where can they connect with you at, Kevin? That's the main thing, because I don't want to leave people here. We got to implement the thing you put into action today, and we need to connect with you to do that.
Yep, you bet. So the best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I don't know if you could see my, my title that I've given I didn't give it to myself, actually. One of my clients gave it to me, but I snagged it. I call myself the Life Wizard. And that came from one of my clients. I was working with her, and she had been depressed for a very long time. And within about an hour of working with me, I had her mindset completely changed. And she said, "I don't know what kind of magic you just did, but you're like some kind of a life wizard." And I was like, ding, that's what I am. I'm a life wizard. So if you look for Life Wizard on Facebook, you'll find me there. If you search for Life Wizard on LinkedIn, you'll find me there. But Kevin Fink. And if you want to email me, my email is kevin@lifewizardcoach.com. I don't have my website up yet, but you can get me through that email. And now I'm going to tell you this. So Sam, I think we're friends on Facebook, not just through my Life Wizard. And if you have a strong constitution and you like sarcasm and some edgy jokes and stuff, you can friend me on Facebook too. I like to have fun. One of my other, in addition to love, one of my other values is fun. And I like to make people laugh. Mostly I poke fun at myself. I don't make fun of other people anymore. I used to do that, but we'll save that for another episode. We can talk about how I was a bully when I was a kid, and how that really didn't go so well. But yeah, Kevin at Life Wizard Coach, and I think you've got a QR code also. So I put out a periodic newsletter. It's not weekly, it's not bi-weekly, it's periodic. It's as thoughts come to me, and I'm like, you know what, I want to share that with the world. I'll put that out. I think I've got 5 or 6 of them that I've put out so far. And if you click on that QR code, it'll just open up your email, and it'll send me an email saying that you want to subscribe. If the QR code's not working, then just send me an email to kevin@lifewizardcoach.com. Just put on their newsletter. All you got to do is put newsletter in the header, and I will add you to the newsletter list, and would love to stay in contact with you that way. If there's anything I can do to help anybody, if you're struggling with money decisions or in any area of your life, and you want to make a change, just reach out. I'm happy to talk to you. No charge, first conversation. You want to just kind of talk about what's going on, I'm happy to have a discovery conversation with you to see if what I do might benefit you. And if it does, great. We talk about how that works. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. I have a big network of people. If I'm not your Huckleberry, then I could probably point you towards somebody that is. But I'm all about love. I love you, Sam. Thank you. I mean, this is the first time we've actually talked, but we've been connected on Facebook now for a few months, and I love what you're doing. I love your message, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing because it matters. You matter.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, you guys. So, hey, I'm going to all of Kevin's information, his Facebook, his LinkedIn, and his QR code are going to be at the bottom of this post. Make sure you subscribe to his email. And man, you guys, I'm excited because, man, there is so much knowledge in there. But I love what he said. Realizing that you have the power to change your life if you're willing to do that work. And I think that's just a powerful note to close in. Guys, I'm super thankful you guys are here. so much, Kevin, for joining here, friends. Well, hey, stay connected, get that information, and connect with Kevin after this. You guys take care.
All right. Thank